So this is how a Spark application will be having. So it will be having will be submitting our job to the cluster created in the server. So what it will do is it will take the number of nodes from that cluster and it will distribute our job. I mean, it's like parallel execution or distribute the data to do parallel processing. Let's say if I have a 1 TB data, 1 TB is of size table which I need to process. So what it will do is based on uh, partitions on that table, or if it is not partitions, it will consider if we are doing any aggregations or any join. Considering all those scenarios, it will distribute data to each node. So once we submitted the job to this cluster, the driver program will split uh, the data. I mean, split the tasks to each node. Okay. So each node will do the processing inside that. Let's say if I have two nodes, which is processing 1 TB of data, it will take like 500 GB into one node and 500 GB into one node. It will do the processing here for 500 GB, and another 500 GB processing will be happened here in this executable. So once the processing is happened, it will combine the results. So if there is an aggregation, it will do one aggregation here, other part aggregation here, and it will merge both of them and return it to the driver program. So this is how a distributed mode works. So these Spark applications needs a dedicated server. I mean, we need a server for this. We need to do maintenance for that server. We need to have a storage for that. It can be anything. Like we can connect Spark to SQL Server database and read tables, or we can have our Hadoop as our HDFS as our source system, and HDFS is means Hadoop file system. Is nothing but will be storing the files, which is similar to our regular Windows folder system. So it can store Parquet files, CSV files, JSON files, and Avro files. There are a few other file formats which we can use, which we can store in HDFS and use it in Spark. So this is like Spark is like we'll be storing data at one place, and we'll be doing the processing at one place. So the storage is HDFS and processing is in Spark cluster. So we need maintenance for all of this. We need the setup, we need the maintenance, we need the purchase servers for it, and do all the stuff. So to make that part to be simple, cloud comes into picture. So we have Spark, which is a big data, which will be used for big data. We have Python, which is very basic Python program, which is like a you can run in your Windows machine, which is like a small jobs, like this hello world program or something, some count program or whatever it may be, which are very small jobs. And HDFS is a storage system, and SQL Server is data warehouse. So all these are individual from different like SQL Server is from Microsoft, Spark is from open source Apache, and also uh, Hadoop is from again Apache, and Python will be using will be installing Python on our machine and running the Python jobs there. So all these are individual. We need the maintenance for each of them separately. So if we want to upgrade a Python, we need to do it ourselves. If you want to upgrade the Spark version, you need to do it on by yourself from the server side. And even for the SQL Server updates, we need to do it from our side, the installation updates, whatever it is. So maintenance is needed. So to minimize this and consolidate all these services at one place without the setup, maintenance, and all, cloud comes into picture. What is cloud? So cloud is something they are having all the applications or all the services from their side, uh, and they are providing services or
Excuse me. Are you sharing the screen? Oh,
no, I'm just
oh,
this. Yeah, if anything comes up, I will share.
okay, okay, okay.
So it is just a discussion part. So once we start with AWS service, I will share. Yeah, all these individual services will be provided by cloud. So cloud will be having AWS will be having their dedicated service placed at each region. Like few servers will be placed at in Antarctica, and few placed in US region, and few placed in Europe region, and few servers placed in Asia region. So they will be having servers. They will be installing their own. I mean, all these services. They have their own services developed, and they will be pushing that servers as service application to this uh, servers. They will be hosted on their server. Uh, they will be published to uh, global access. So whoever is having access to the AWS account, they should be able to see all those. Like let's say we have Spark. We spoke about cluster and submitting Spark jobs. So they created for building the Spark jobs and creating a cluster and running the Spark jobs. They created EMR. It's nothing but Elastic Map Reduce. So where we can create our own cluster with our own requirement. So if I need small cluster to run small all the small jobs, I can create request small amount of resources from AWS and create small cluster and run my Spark jobs. So they provided one service. They have their own server and they are providing few resources to us as per my request. And I'm running my job. And if I want to run basic Python program, they created Lambda. So each one will be having their pros and cons. Keeping them aside, and just talking about general use case how they are providing solutions for each of our requirements. So I wanted to run basic Python program. We have they introduced AWS Lambda, where I can run uh, Python program, and there are other language supports in Lambda as well. They can run JS applications of C Sharp, C language, C++, whatever uh, language we want. We can create a Lambda function. That is just the Lambda function is the name of service. So you can create a one function there, and you can write your own code and execute. And for data warehousing part, they introduced AWS Redshift. So like SQL Server, which is provided by Microsoft, AWS is providing Redshift and Aurora database and DynamoDB. So each will be having their database. So like MongoDB, MongoDB is nothing but document key value pair of. I mean, it's like storing data in file system instead of tables. So for that, it introduced AWS introduced DynamoDB, and so for storage, AWS has S3. And if you want to create a virtual machine, like if you see, if you are working for a US client, they will be providing us some remote desktops from their created from their servers and give access to you so that you can work on their missions. So for similar kind of purpose, they introduced some AWS remote work dock something workstation or something. They introduced like that, and EC2 is again another virtual machine where we can run our containers, customized third-party containers. If you want to run third-party Kafka. You can run the containers, or you can want to run some Dockers. You can use EC2 for that one. And also they have MSK managed services for Kafka, especially to run Kafka, to set up Kafka and run Kafka jobs. Again, Kafka is a third party from open source from Apache, which is used for streaming purposes most of the time. And along with Kafka, I mean, to replace, not to replace Kafka, to match the features that Kafka is providing. AWS has other services like Kinesis and data migration services. So all these services will be provided at one place, which are all available in AWS server. So if I want to use any of the services, there are lot of other services as well. Like for SFTP, it is having something called uh, some fancy. I didn't remember the exact name, but for SFTP, it has some services, and for to query this S3 file stored in S3, it has Athena to store that. I mean, to query that. And yeah, these are all the main services that we are going to see from AWS side as data engineer, and there are other services we are going to discuss again in the later part. So, all these services will be hosted on AWS server. I request few services access to few services from them. They grant me access, and I utilize that service. Their billing. So like it depends on the billing depends changes from service to service. Each service will be having different kind of billing. So if I am using a EMR or EC2 instance, if I spin the EMR cluster or EC2 instance, so from the point where it started till the point I ended it, it will be billed for. And if they are going to cost, if I am using Glue, if I create a Glue job and started triggering it, I mean started running it from the start of running to the end of that execution, it will cost me. It won't cost anything to create a job in Glue, but it will cost for running some, because Glue is serverless. We don't need to create any server like EMR to run the Spark jobs in Glue. So that's a different concept we'll be discussing when it comes to Glue. So all these services will be available. But coming to organization point of view, uh, you need to have n number of users using AWS, like not the end users, the developers, the data engineers, testers, or whatever maybe organization is having, whomever organization is having, they need access to these service, few particular services. Like developer need access to few applications, data engineer need access to few applications, business analyst need access to few applications, few services, and quality analyst and quality engineer will need access to few services. So to manage these services, or to grant, we can't grant access to all the services to all the users. Right? So to grant services to each user or each developer or each QA resource, we have a concept called IAM node. So initially, what you need to do is you need to do. So what you need to do is you just need to search for AWS console, and all you need to do is go to that AWS Amazon.com, create an account. You're able to see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
So you can, or you can search for AWS free account. I can go here, AWS free tier. You will be getting some free tier. You won't be billed for most of the services if you are using for free. Like there are some. limits given to us so that we can uh, uh, take advantage of those free services, and you can uh, get some hands on. So you just need all you need to do is create a free account. Just give the email address and account name. So once you verify that email address, you will be taken to a page where you need to provide uh, uh, all your details, and then you need to provide the card details, whether credit card or debit card, anything is fine. So you need to provide that, and after that it will be billed for like ₹2 or $1. It depends on region, and once you created the account, it will be holding that two rupees or $1, and it will be reverting it back. Once the account is created, you will be taken to console page. So it will be taking you to console home here. So you can see I just created my AWS account. It will be creating an account ID for me, and it will give access to all the regions by default. Uh, there are few regions which are not enabled, and there are most of these resources will be enabled by default. And this is my account name. I just give like AWS data, and then an account ID will be created, and you will be able to see all the services here. So initially, this is a root user. So is it clear so far? Any questions or any doubts on how to log in? Why we are using AWS? Why we are moving from traditional to AWS?
No doubt, but I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know if I miss understood this part, but building our pipeline, are we
Mhm.
gonna use the data brick on AWS?
No, Databricks is different. Databricks is from uh, Azure side. It's
Oh,
not from AWS side. So AWS, it has Glue. So like Databricks in Azure, we have Glue in AWS.
okay, because I'm seeing one of the job description that uh about AWS data engineer. They're talking about using building a pipeline using a data brick on AWS. So I'm a little bit confused about it. That's why I asked.
There is one more Databricks which is related to Spark, but not completely from AWS side. So it's Databricks format. It's like a community where they introduced that for this one. So it's a framework built using Spark. So you can use Databricks.
Okay,
Uh,
data brick.
yeah,
Spark.
this is again different. This is completely related to Spark, not related to any cloud. But Azure has its own Databricks, which is nothing but serverless Spark processing there. So here, similar to Azure Databricks, we have AWS Glue here, which is again a serverless Spark process. I'm not sure whether which Databricks you are mentioning. So there are two Databricks. This is one, and this is most of them are not using this these days because everyone has moved to Spark cloud, right? So either can be Azure Databricks or AWS. You got my? I think I answered your question. You got it right.
Yes, yes, because I'm looking at the job description. They're talking about Spark. So I guess it's the same.
Uh, so uh, get that clarification once whether it is Azure Database or something else. You can get that clarification. If it is something else, we can look up to that one. And is others clear so far? Or any doubts or any questions? I will take that as no, and I hope everyone created their AWS free-tier account. If not, if you want to create it now, you can create it. I can wait, and or else I can take it after this session. Anything is fine for me. Let me
Yeah, yes, Shrikant, you can start the session. I guess everyone has the account.
know. So once you create the AWS account, it will be your root account, like the email ID and password that you are using while creating this AWS account. That will be your root user. So you can see all your account details here. So contact information, everything will be seen here. So you can see all these regions are disabled and a few regions are enabled by default. I can change them, and I can grant access to billing information and all. So so let's say I created one account for my organization. I am the root user for my organization. I need to create accounts for. I need to grant access to accounts for 100 users in my organization. What I need to do is I need to create users uh, in their uh, to the respect to users. So let's say I'm an organization. I have 100 employees with me. I need to create account for each of them. What I need to do is I just need to go to users, and I need to create each user like username, provide access. Generally, we'll be creating IAM user because everyone wants to create user which they need to access this AWS console UI. So there are two types of users. One is to access AWS console and to access only identity center like using access keys and all. They don't need to use this console. They just need to use it programmatically. Programmatically in the sense, let's say I'm writing a Python program or a Spark application. I don't need to go to AWS console, AWS UI and select things. I just need to access things or services from my program while I'm doing my Python code. So for that purpose, I just need to create an identity center user and grant access for it. If I want a user to access console, I can just click on create an IAM user. Just password options can be auto generated, like AWS will generate the password, and also I can create my custom password for that user. And there is an option when signing on, when the user sign on for the first time, it will ask for change password. That option I can select, and just clicking. I'm just using that developer name. I mean username. Just go on to that one. So this is groups. So groups. What groups is? User group is. Uh, so as I mentioned, my organization is having 100 users, 100 employees. So all 100 employees don't need accesses for all the services. 10 employees need access to few services. 10 employees need access to other services, and remaining employees need only access to some data warehousing part or Athena, Redshift or Athena. So what I can do is I can create one user group. Um, yeah, user group. So what user group is? If you go to user group and select group, and you can see the policies. What is policies? Is nothing but if you want to grant access to one service, you will be having default policies. So let's say, let me search for Glue console full access. If you click on this one, you can see all the accesses that a Glue service needs. So if you want to work with the Glue service, what are all the accesses that Glue need? It is granting all the service, all the actions from Glue, either listing the Glue jobs, uh, creating a job, modifying the job, deleting a job, and other things like running a job, executing a job. All the access will be provided. There are few things that Glue needs to access, like it can read from Redshift, it can access Redshift, it needs to access S3, and it needs to access IAM, EC2, all these. So all these access are provided here. Even if you see S3 get bucket, put object, everything will be added to this policy. This is created by default. So I can, for developers, data engineers who are doing ETL in Glue, I can just select this Glue full access control. I can create I can attach that to a user group. So when I am creating an user and add it to that group, I don't need to grant access again for that Glue console. I am I have already created a user group. I have already attached a policy to that user group. That policy is to grant access for Glue service, complete access to Glue service. Whomever, whoever the users that I am adding to that user group, all those users will be able to access Glue. And I am creating, if I create one more user group with complete Redshift access, and I am adding users to that group, that users will be able to access Redshift as
So Shrikant,
yes.
so basically, if we create a user group and we have listed the users in particular required you use cases, I mean like the services,
Yes.
and then for example, for all are same, like whoever like if we have three different users and we provided three different same services to the three different users
Okay.
at particular point of time, if you want to remove one access to the user in one particular user, so
Okay.
we can do it in the user group itself, or else like we have to create another user and then thereafter then we have to delete the I mean like remove the service from his account. How can we do that?
You can create your custom policy. Let's say if only few users needs to, in here in custom, uh, so if you
Yeah.
see here, if you see search for S3, you can see S3 full access.
Okay.
So that means you will be having, if you grant this policy to any user, any group,
Mm-hmm.
uh, what it will do is it will
Yeah.
grant
Resource means it's like
read
it's
read
grant
access,
every
delete access,
yeah. No,
everything.
I get.
So
Yeah.
what if I wanted to grant only read access to this for few
No,
setup?
only for one user. I mean, like,
Yeah, you can create your custom policy and you can attach that policy that to that user. You see, go to this user. I created one user earlier, so I have policies here. I can
okay.
just create inline policy, which will be nothing but just yeah. I can grant all access, or I can just restrict that, or I can create a similar if I want to among those 10 users. If I want to restrict access for 5 users, I just need
Mm-hmm.
to create that policy. I can add them to a group, and Also, I can attach that policy to that group.
So both the policies are will be in the function then.
Yeah, both the policies will be assigned to that user, but if any of the policies is not allowing him to do, it won't be allowed.
So
So
if like
if you are restricting and also allowing, the restricting part will be handled first.
so it takes the second one as a priority. The second
No, it's not like second one or first one. It's about allowing or restricting.
no, but basically in the first case we assigned it and we didn't delete that
Yes,
user group. And then
yes,
in the second user group we have restricted the access.
yeah, it will be restricted. Even though if you are restricting it first and allowing it second, it will still restrict.
Oh, okay. Like it's like if once we give a restriction access,
It will
so
be
we have
restricted.
it will be
Anything
restriction.
you do, it will be restricted.
So basically we have to be more conscious that where we have given restriction to that. So in the first place, so that's how. If you wanted to oh yeah, then we have to go and change it to the allow access. I got it. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. You can do it at user level. You can do it at user group level as
Okay.
well. Got it right?
Yeah, I got it. I understand.
Yeah, I have created one user developer one. I have not enabled MFA multi-factor authentication, which is general these days, like using Microsoft Authenticator or Geo login or VIP access, like the security code, right? So that will be enabled for two level, secondary level factor authentication. And for this developer, for this particular user, I named it as developer one. Um, I have granted three resources full access: Redshift, S3, and Glue Console. Log. Let me show you how to log into that one. You are able to see my
Mm-hmm.
screen, right? So
Mm-hmm.
uh, I created one user developer one,
Yeah.
right? So I'm going to log in to that. I'm not a root user logging. So I am user. I'm logging into this developer one IAM user. Okay. I just need to get this account ID, paste it here. Next, that IAM username and the password I assign to it, and just sign it. So it just allowed me to log into this one. So we are discussing about IAM, right? So if I go into IAM,
I you went into IMI. Mm-hmm.
I access denied. I don't have access to IAM get account summary, IAM list MFA device, IAM list access keys. Nothing. I don't have access to this developer one. You can see IAM
Yeah.
user developer one. This developer one doesn't have access to IAM dashboard because I didn't attach any policy to that developer.
Mm. But still that ID that IM user works.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
IAM user will be logged in and I am
Okay. Yeah.
giving access to few services and others I didn't. So
Okay.
from
Gotcha.
after logging into developer one, I am trying to access IAM roles and policies. I don't have access to any I didn't grant any access to this developer one.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have any access to any of the uh, any of this IAM stuff. You can just see MFA access denied, everything is access denied. But if you go to Glue, see, I'm able to see all the services. I'm just able to see the ETL jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I can create one ETL job. I can do anything because I have full access for it.
Yeah.
See, I have Redshift full access, S3 full access, and Glue Console full access. I have created those access. If I want to restrict any of the access, I just need to create inline policy. Inline policy is nothing but directly selecting from it. or you can code it by using the JSON format. You can get this from the direct documentation itself. So there will be some uh, examples over there. I can show you the example. So here is the example. What is the action? This will be the generic format for all of them. So if you see, all these are actions defined, and the effect is allow for all the services, all the resources, and allow I am for this resource. They're just uh, granting the action. So this is full access, right? So there are multiple. If you want to restrict, if you want to grant access to one or two actions, that will be very much simple. See, there are only few actions. So from S3, they're allowing list all my buckets. You can see the list and get the bucket location. And there are only few things. List bucket and get bucket list. Only two actions. Here they are
Uh,
just.
Shrikant, I think you have shared only one window.
So this is one of the example where they are just granting access to home folder. So what they did is they did list buckets action, and then inside that bucket name they are just granting access to that home folder, and inside that home folder whatever that user uh, user created bucket folder will be there, right? So for that username folder they are granting access. So this is full access full access policy, Redshift full access policy, or SPL, let me put it. So they're just giving a star so that whatever is there in AWS S3, you can do all the stuff like list buckets, get bucket, uh, delete bucket, modify bucket, and create folder. Everything will be granted to you. But if I want to restrict access to only few buckets, what they did is initially they need to grant access for listing buckets. So I wanted to see all the buckets. So inside all those buckets, if there is any home folder, like SD, my bucket name slash home slash any developer name, I mean developer one, for only that particular folder, you will be able to see the access. So this is how you need to create policy. So you can just create policy, modify a little bit, and you go here to policies. If you are going to create a policy, so we have two options, JSON or visual. If you are opting for JSON, you can go in that way. You can see it will be granting the direct. If you want to list all my buckets, it added an action, right? If I want to list something else, tags, it will be added as an action. And then I can add resource type, whether all resources, it will be giving a star. Otherwise, if I am adding any other resource type, it will be just uh, getting that ARN. ARN is nothing but resource number. We'll be creating some unique IDs in the data, right? So similar way, AWS, whenever we create something, whether it is an S3 bucket, glue job, or Lambda function, everything will be having ARN. ARN role is nothing but AWS resource number. So that will be unique for each and every object in this AWS. So also you can add some condition, whether where are you from accessing, like if it is having some tags or not. You can add some conditions while accessing to that one, or you can do the similar thing from visual as well. So I just need to select S3, and I'm just selecting two of the resources. Mhm. If I want to add other uh, permissions for other services as well, like listing permissions from S3, reading permissions for Blue Job, and some write permissions to something else. I can add each individual permissions and create that policy. Once the policy is created, I can come here. If it is for only one user, I can directly attach it here, or if it is for few particular users, like 10 users or 20 users, I can create a group. I can add that policies here. If you see, I created developer one and I created a developer group, added that developer one to that group, and whatever the permissions I am giving to this developer group, this developer will be able to access them. Unless I have specified something different, additional to this developer one. Is it clear?
Yes,
Any
right.
doubts?
So, and what are all these services on the left side of this window, Shrikant? So we can go one by one. Like,
Yeah, sure. So this dashboard is like nothing but how many user groups, users, all these policies I created, identity providers that we have created. All these are like how many, the number, the like
count, count.
yeah, generic dashboard. These user groups we have already discussed. Create a group, add the policies and users to that one, so that users will be having that access. And this users is like individual user. I created developer one, we can create n number of users in this one. And this roles, uh, this is something that uh, so let's say I have access to AWS Lambda and I have access to AWS Glue. I can do whatever I want in that. But let's say if I have a lambda, I have created a lambda function which is trying to execute or call AWS Glue. Will it be able
Mhm.
to access? I mean, it needs Glue needs access to Lambda or Lambda need access to Glue, right? So
Yeah.
for that, I need to create a role so that Lambda function will use that role to call whatever the services. Let's say I created a Glue role for service for Lambda service. Yeah, service for Lambda service, and I am giving permissions to access AWS Glue. Let's say I created a Glue job, Spark job, and I am trying to trigger that Spark Glue job from AWS Lambda function. So that Lambda also needs to access Glue, right?
Hmm.
By default, it won't be having any access. My
Yeah.
user is having access to Lambda and Glue. I have access to both. I can do whatever I want, both of them. But if Lambda wants to access Glue, even though I logged in from my uh, user which is having both access to both the service, still Lambda need to access Glue to trigger that job. So for that, I need to create the role and the service for I'm creating it for Lambda, and I want Lambda to access Glue, and I'm attaching that Glue policy to this one. So let me show you that example. Just I'm just giving a
Yeah.
showing
Yeah.
a
Sure.
demo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just I just logged into Lambda, AWS Lambda. I'm trying to create one function. I'm just trying to create from scratch some test function, let's say. And if you see, it will create a basic Lambda function. I mean, basic
Top.
basic permission. It will create a new role, or you can use your existing role. I created my own role, right? So I
Yeah.
just need to
To access the glue. Mm-hmm.
yeah, existing role and access that role. So once I create this function, I should be able to access Glue jobs. I mean, Glue service completely. I have granted full complete roles, right? Full access, right? So I should be able to access all the actions in Glue job, so that I can take full advantage of triggering, stopping, pausing, whatever I got from the Glue from Lambdas. So earlier we discussed Lambda will be supporting a lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
programming
It
languages
has
like
different
C or
versions and
Go,
programming
Java,
languages.
Python. Yeah,
So,
all these are.
So what you're saying basically is about like if we created a role that we giving particular access to the particular service.
Yes,
So for example, you have given a glue access to Lambda function, Lambda, right?
yes,
So
yes,
where in the Lambda service we can access the
yes,
glue service.
yes. Uh,
Uh, yeah,
Programmatic.
it's a
I mean,
program.
Lambda is programmatic, so it will be having some programmatic access
So
to that.
it's like basically like if in case like we trigger the lock, we have created a cloud. I mean like what do we say? If we create a Lambda function and we like provide access to the cloud logs and where we can generate the logs basically, and so this is how it works.
Yes,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
yes, you got that. So to log, you need to grant access to CloudWatch, right? So that your Lambda function logs will be stored there.
Yeah.
So that policy will be added to this role, to that particular role.
Okay.
So I just go here, add permissions that has policies. I can go CloudWatch, whatever I want. Not
CloudWatch
right.
log. Yeah.
Yeah, I can just grant this access and add permission. Yeah, now what it will do is whenever that Lambda function with this role execute, this CloudWatch, it will write all the logs that Lambda function is generating to the CloudWatch. CloudWatch is nothing but again the logging mechanism of AWS, where it will store all the logs, metrics, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So these policies, these are default policies AWS manage, where it will be granting all the access. And if you want to restrict access or if you want only use set of access, you can create your custom policies where you will be granting your own um, permissions for each service. You can just create those
So
things.
basically we can write a script and we can
Yeah, you can write a JSON script,
script.
or else you can directly use take advantage of the visual part. You can just select.
So
It will list all of them.
so in the policies in the policies block itself we can add them to the users, or else like we have to go to users and we have to
You
add the
have to
policy
go to
there.
users, either users or user groups, and then attach.
Okay, like we can name the policy like in our own requirement.
Name. There will be
And
some
it will
standards like spaces and all. You
yeah,
can
yeah.
follow that.
And it will be displayed in the policy name.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh, you can just create policy. You can see, specify permissions and then review and create whatever
Okay.
the let me just creating list all my buckets and just nothing else. Just next policy name. Custom policy. Not writing any description or not adding anything. Creating policy. Policy created. See, that's the
Okay.
custom.
Okay. It's like a customer managed. It's written there. Yeah, I got it.
Yes. So you can see the action. I have selected only list all my buckets. Okay.
And we can
So
edit here itself if you want to.
yeah, you can just
Yeah.
click on the edit and it will again take back you to that editing permissions, and again
Yeah.
you can add few more. You can use visual or JSON. What even JSON is having some visual, so it will just add those, or you can directly go and change that directly.
Yes.
Yeah. The next thing is identity providers. So identity providers is nothing but if you want to grant access to the outside parts, if someone is trying to access AWS resources from third party, like
Mhm.
other than AWS, if you want to access some third party services like Salesforce or some other
Yeah.
application, so you can see here OpenID Connect
Like
identity provider, Google or
log
Salesforce.
DNA. Yeah, log DNA and other services.
Yeah. So these we are not as a data engineers we don't use much of this because we generally log into AWS console to do the ETL part and all. And this will be useful for someone who is developing web applications or doing some authentications, authorizations part, right? So this will be useful for mostly for those kind of developers who are using .NET and Java other services. So this account settings is again, basically allowing access, enabling the regions and setting the password policies. I can set my own password policy, whether it can be simple or custom. If it is I am default, you should use uppercase, lowercase,
Yes.
numeral, non-alphanumerics are allowed, and length. Everything will be default. So if I giving customized, I can set my customized and requires all this. I can just set my policy for creating passwords for users.
Yeah.
So this access analyzer, this is something which financial team will be concentrating on. Let's say if I created 100 users and uh, 50 users left the organization. So those 50 users we need to delete, right? That that users is no longer required because 50 are left. So I need to monitor which users are unused and which users are using. So this access analyzer is what it will do is it will monitor all the users access policies, everything. So if something is not using, it will take action. Whatever the action we are configuring it, it will take the action whether to notify us or whether to delete that user or delete that access. Whatever the action uh, we are doing, it will be taken care. So basically, this access analyzer is a little bit costly. If you get something, if you are monitoring few users, let's say if you are accessing 10 IAM users, it will be costing us $0.2 per each monitoring each user, each app.
Uh,
So you can just select generally.
the region, and we can check how many.
Yeah, you can check if it is having say 10 users and 60 roles, total of 70 users and roles, and it will be costing us $14 per month.
Mhm.
So even the roles and these things are for analyzing those roles, it will be costing us.
Okay, just for analyzing.
Yeah, just for analyzing. So all this stuff is for creating something, create analyzer for external. For external access, like that identity providers and all, it is free. But for unused access checks, this is a little bit uh, costly. And this credential report, organization activity, all these will be um, just for monitoring purpose. If you see this credential report list all IAM users, so it will be storing, right? The AWS will be storing the users list, right? So it will just generate a report for us and it will give all the users list and all. So this organization activity and service control policies, all this will be taken care if you are only if you are organization root user. So we don't need to worry about these only things that we need to take care is user groups and policies.
Yeah.
Users, user groups and policies. And coming to a little bit of other things, by default you won't be getting access to billing dashboard. So billing dashboard is nothing but so earlier when we are creating AWS account, we are providing our credit card or debit card, right? So it will be charging us. So once uh, you won't be having any access to the billing cost initially, so you need to enable that. and you will be seeing all the bills, payments you made, and if you are purchasing few things upfront, if you are paying bill upfront, you will be seeing some credits, all these stuff, and you need to monitor everything, or you need to one more thing I wanted to discuss first is budget. So you need to create if you come into billing dashboard and if you come into budgeting and planning and click on budgeting and then you need to create a budget. So if you are not creating any budget, you won't know whether you are uh, getting billed or not. So what you need to do is you just need to create a budget and whether to use existing template or customize your own template. I just used a customized template so that I can be notified if my services are using more amount. I just kept it as $1 and combined from all the services. I don't want to be charged because if you are spinning up any EMR cluster on EC2 instance and left it for 2 days, you will be charged heavily. So that's the reason I'm just keeping uh, a monitoring service uh, for $1, and I just created this budget monitor. So you see, amount spent is $0 of one. I just kept that budget amount as $1, and I will be notified to my email address. You can see threshold as actual amount. And just created one alert to send a mail. So this is how you will be notified if you are keeping a limit to your budget in AWS, and if you are reaching that, you will be notified. To make sure that you are not uh, I mean, you are not using so much of your amount in AWS. You got it right?
Yeah, yeah, Shrika.